please consider supporting my work on Patreon from only $1. Thank you. Hello and welcome to All Top 5s. A cryptid is a creature whose existence hasn't yet been proved. You might think of cryptids like the Yeti or the Loch Ness monster, but here are 5 cryptids from all over the world that you may never have heard of. Number 5. Deep in the Congo River Basin in Central Africa, there is believed to be a giant creature that dwells in the waters, known as Mokele Mbembe. It's a huge water beast that has a long neck and tail, feet like an elephant's, and thick, scaly skin. At first glance, the shape of the animal screams dinosaur. In fact, it's surprisingly similar to the Apatosaurus who roamed the Earth 150 million years ago. The Mokele Mbembe is a matter of local legend within Benin, Cameroon, Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Republic of the Congo, located entirely around rivers and swamps. Native people believe strongly in the cryptid, but are fearful of it. They believe that anyone who sees Mokele Mbembe and tells others about it will soon die. There are dozens of conflicting eyewitness accounts from the early 20th century, some that even caused a stir in European newspapers. The most famous account, though, was in 1959, when Eugene Thomas, an American missionary, was told by natives about the killing of Mokele Mbembe. Near Lake Tele in Republic of Congo, the Bangombe tribe's fishing activities were interrupted daily by Mokele Mbembe's entering the lake. The natives decided to build a barrier to keep them out, which they found the creatures trying to destroy the next day. The men speared one of them, killing it. Later they cut it up, cooked it, and ate it. Only those who did died soon after of either food poisoning or unusual natural causes. They described the animal in great detail to the missionary. It was bigger than an elephant, had a long neck topped by a small lizard-like head, adorned with a comb-like frill. It had a long tail, reddish-brown skin, and short, thick legs with clawed toes. Of course, the Mokele Mbembe may just be a case of mistaken identity, as with so many cryptid sightings. Some believe the shape of an elephant swimming looks a lot like the cryptid, as does a turtle nearby, mistaken for being at a distance. Angry hippos disturbed from hibernation may also be such a traumatic experience for someone that they could feasibly believe the hippo to be something larger and more alien. Perhaps there really is an unknown creature, a giant monitor lizard maybe, living deep in the jungle, witnessed occasionally by a local tribe or visiting missionary, whose unusual shape and hidden way of life is translated to those far from its waterways as Mokele Mbembe. Number 4. A very modern cryptid case is the Monkey Man of Delhi. In May 2001, in the capital city New Delhi, India, reports began to crop up of a dangerous creature. It was unusual looking and monkey-like, standing at only 4 feet tall and covered in black hair. Even stranger were the descriptions of its metal helmet, metal claws, 3 buttons on its chest, and creepy, glowing red eyes. The reports began to circulate, and soon there was a panic. A number of people claimed to have been scratched by this monkey man, and 2 or 3 people sadly even died trying to escape this cryptid attacker, jumping off a building or falling down a stairwell. The police were baffled and rushed to produce an artist's impression of the monkey man to try and capture it amidst all the reports. In the panic, a 4-foot-tall man was set upon and beaten up by a mob who mistook him for the creature. In the end, though, the panic subsided, and the reports went away, leaving experts to chalk the whole thing up to deadly mass hysteria. Funnily enough, no pictures or videos of the monster were captured, and the only representations we have are the artist's rendition and a 2009 Bollywood movie, Delhi 6, which features Kala Bandar, the black monkey. But mass hysteria begins somewhere though. I wonder what the catalyst really was in the case of the Monkey Man of Delhi. Number 3. Icelandic folklore speaks of an ancient lake monster who lives in Lagerflot, a lake in eastern Iceland. As such, it's called Lagerflotsormur, or the Lagerflotworm. It's an incredibly long, serpentine creature that sometimes breaches the surface of the lake in a series of humps. Astonishingly, the first sighting of this creature is from 1345, described as a wonderful thing, written in the medieval Icelandic annals. While not described specifically as a worm, it was said to look like humps coming out of the water with great distances between them, and it's been reported ever since, being featured in those annals frequently. Indeed, on a 16th century map of Iceland by famous cartographer Abraham Ortelius is written a Latin inscription, "In hoc lacu est anguis insolitae magnitudinis," means, "In this lake appears a large serpent." It continues that the serpent is a menace and appears when some memorable event is close. A famous folktale was published about the Lagerflotworm originating from a type of slug who ate a golden ring and turned into the serpent of legend, hiding in the lake. However, in 2012, a video emerged of the reported Lagerflotworm in the icy waters. It's not a bad video, but it's difficult to draw conclusions from. A researcher who analysed the footage claimed that the object wasn't moving forwards. She said it was an optical illusion caused by the currents and perhaps a piece of old netting. Though many still believe that the video is genuine, as always it's up for you to decide for yourself. So while flotsam from the nearby mountains might explain the humps of the Lagerflotworm rising out of the water, and a trick of the light might explain a purported video of the creature, it's still a popular legend of a cryptid that may well still lurk in the chilly depths of Iceland's most famous lake. Number 2. On Flores, an island in Indonesia, local folklore describes a group of creatures called the Ebu Gogo. Ebu means grandparent, and Gogo means a person who eats anything, referring to their prolific diet. The Ebu Gogo are described as being short, hairy, and humanoid in appearance, with wide, flat noses and large mouths. They're a society with a murmuring language that they speak to one another, and islanders who tried speaking to the creatures said that the Ebu Gogo repeat their words back to them, like a parrot. These little people are said to have been prevalent up to a century ago, but aren't seen any longer. The folklore goes that Ebu Gogo would kidnap children and hope to learn from them how to cook. The children would always escape with ease. But 300 years ago, local islanders decided to get rid of the Ebu Gogo and tricked them by giving them gifts of palm fibres for making clothes. The creatures stored these gifts in their cave, and the villagers set them alight, killing all but a single pair, who apparently escaped deep into the forest and may have started a new family. But there's science behind this story that may shed light on this cryptid species. In 2003, on the island of Flores, the remains of an extinct species of small human called Homo floresiensis were discovered. They were only around a metre tall and lived in caves. Scientific analysis of the tools found in the hominid's cave revealed they lived up to around 50,000 years ago. So they're real? Where does this leave us with Ebu Gogo? Surely 50,000 years is too long for a folktale to be passed down, but the mysterious Ebu Gogo are too similar to these ancient humans to be ignored. So is it coincidence? Or do the islanders of Flores still sometimes see these tiny people hiding in the forests, a genuine echo of millennia gone by? Number 1. In Brazilian folklore, a cryptid by the name of minhocao lives in the vast forests of South America. Imagine an earthworm, then scale it up to longer than a blue whale, some 30 meters or more. That's the minhocao. It has scaly, black skin, a sizable mouth, and burrows into the earth, living underground except for when it needs to feed. Now, some descriptions of the minhocao vary wildly, describing it having the snout of a pig, hard scales like an armadillo, remember that one, a coat made of bones covering its skin, and even that it had horns. European explorers in the 19th century were told tales of the minhocao by Brazilian locals. They were told the minhocao would emerge from lakes and drag cattle and horses back into the water to feed. This giant worm would cause destruction too, uprooting trees and leaving deep, deep trenches in its wake as it burrowed through forests. It's said that the minhocao prefers damp conditions, and these tunnels will appear after long periods of rain. The burrowing creature is also blamed for collapsing buildings, and indeed a rumbling sound like thunder is described along with its destruction. Though this is now thought to be seismic activity, such as earthquakes. Back in 1878, a German biologist named Fritz Müller was reported to be in possession of a minhocao specimen, but the reports went mysteriously silent. There's certainly been no real reports of a sighting for over a century. Cryptid enthusiasts wonder if the minhocao is now extinct, and perhaps was a giant glyptodont, related to the armadillo. Others think it's more likely to have been an unexplainably huge caecilian, a type of underground amphibian found in South America. But, as ever, who knows? Perhaps local earthquakes in the forests of Brazil aren't quite seismic in nature, and instead are a result of a gigantic earthworm, the minhocao, burrowing deep underground in search of its next meal. And that's it from All Top 5s. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and subscribe and click that bell to stay informed. Or please consider clicking there to support All Top 5s on Patreon to see all the new videos before anyone else. Peace and love to each and every one of you, and I'll see you all next time on All Top 5s.